Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Evening City Council, Mayor Burcroft, Attorney Hitchcock, Treasurer, Deputy Clerk, and audience. Today's date is Monday, March 5th, 2018, and this is the City of Romulus City Council regular meeting. At this time, we will have roll call. Councilwoman Abdo? Here. Councilman Barton?
Here.
Councilwoman Roscoe?
Here.
Councilwoman Talley?
Here.
Councilman Wadsworth? Councilwoman Webb?
Here.
And Councilwoman Williams. Mr. Chair, we have a quorum. Tonight, you have before you an amended agenda, and I will read the amended agenda as follows. Number 1, agenda. Number 2, minutes. 3, petitioner. 4, chairperson's report. 5, mayor's report. 6A, clerk's report. 6B, treasurer's report. 6C, attorney's report. 7, public comment. 8, unfinished business. 9, new business. 10, communication. And number 11 is adjournment. And a motion would be in order to accept the amended council agenda as presented.
So moved.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Talley, supported by Ms. Roscoe, for approval of the amended agenda as presented. Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Number 2 are the minutes. Item 2A for approval of the minutes from the regular council meeting held February 26, 2018.
So moved for February 26, 2018.
Support.
Been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Abdo, for approval of the minutes from our regular council meeting, which was held February 26, 2018. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Abstain.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Agenda item 2B for approval of the minutes from the special meeting held February 26, 2018. This was an open session regarding the State of Library address and the Michigan Economic Development Corporation.
So moved for approval of minutes from the special meeting held February 26, 2018.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Abdo, supported by Ms. Talley, for approval of the minutes from the special meeting held Monday, February 26, 2018. Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Abstain.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
There are no petitioners on the agenda. Number 4 is the chairperson's report.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, I would like to bring up Ms. Jan Lemon.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jan Lemon, Chairman of the Cemetery Board of Trustees. It's the beginning of a new cleanup for the cemetery, and I would just like to read a couple of the rules for you. We are having so many of these just wire flowers stuck in the cemetery. They're not in vases. The headstones cannot be weed whipped around because of it. And they're nothing but wire. I brought one. Roger, would you get those for me, please? And they can get in the mowers. They could be thrown. This is what they end up with. And they're all over the grounds of the cemetery. They're dangerous. They're wires. And this year, because this rule was made in probably 2011 or 12, and it said both fresh or artificial flowers must be in an unbreakable vase. You're just sticking these in the ground. You cannot possibly, the mowing service cannot possibly mow around them because all it does is tear them up. There's also another rule Prohibited items subject to removal include holiday and Halloween decorations, yard ornaments, balloons, figurines, wind chimes, lanterns, solar lights, and shepherd hooks. Please, if you have any of these up there now, remove them. This year, these items are automatically going to be taken off of the cemetery. The last rule is alcohol of any kind cannot be in the cemetery. I find beer bottles, I find tequila bottles. Kids go through that cemetery. And who's to say one of these kids might open this bottle and decide to drink it? And that's dangerous. So we're asking you to please abide by the rules so everybody can be happy. Okay, now the nice thing, you may know and you may not know, that in 1951, we had a gentleman buried in our cemetery named Charles Kowitzka. He was a military, Army, 1900 Philippine-American war hero. He received the Medal of Honor. We do not know why on his headstone it does not reflect this. Bob McCrade has been helping me, and he called Washington. The government only issues one headstone. They're not willing to do anything about it. So the cemetery board has taken on this project, and we are going to hold a spaghetti dinner at the VFW Hall on April 20th to give this man his rightful monument that he should have. This has been designed. It's going to be 24 inches wide, 18 inches high, with a 6-inch base. It depicts on the bottom that he received this medal in 1902. At the spaghetti dinner, there's a grandson who actually has this medal. He is going to be bringing that to the spaghetti dinner, and we will be placing it on a table, protected so nobody can touch it, but so people can actually see what was given in 1902. When we get the notification that the monument is ready, we are then going to have as close to a military type ceremony as we can have for this gentleman. We knew he was there. We knew the Medal of Honor was there, but we did not have any idea where to go with it. There was a gentleman from Riverview who came with all the back history. And he came to Mrs. Bragg. She had him come to our meeting, and this started in October. And we've come a long way in October. But we just want him to have his rightful recognition. And Mayor Burcroft has told me that he has a family friend who also is a Medal of Honor recipient. And we're going to have the mayor get him involved in this service and do it upright for this gentleman. Something Romulus can be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Page?
One question, Jan.
Jan.
What's the time frame on the spaghetti dinner?
It's Friday, April 20th, 5 to 7, at the VFW Hall on the 3rd.
Thank you.
Flyers out everywhere.
I have a quick question, sorry. Please forgive me if I should know the answer to this. When you were going over the rules for the cemetery, how do we notify our residents? Do we have signs? Do we broadcast it on cable? I'm just kind of curious, for those that don't watch TV or don't have cable.
There's 3 boxes, Stacy, in the cemetery.
Okay,
One by the shed, one by each gate. And I keep these flyers in there all the time. There's 2 big signs that say what can be on there and what can't, that Roger Staten put together.
okay,
So there is information out there if they want to follow the rules. And they're
Okay.
going to have to start, because we can't be responsible for alcohol and everything else in that cemetery.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Tally had a question.
Quick question.
Not yet, Jan.
I just wanted to know, what is the estimated time you think for the monument to be complete and when the potential ceremony? Just a
A
ballpark.
rough estimate would be maybe the middle of May, because she said that it would, the lady I dealt with up at Inch, she said they'll do it right away if it's in stock. But if not, then Bob and I were looking at Flag Day in June. We want to do it on a military type day.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Anybody else? Oh, I have one more thing. Happy birthday, Barb. Yesterday.
Okay, just want to make an announcement, the Romulus citywide garage yard sale, which is May the 17th, and May the 18th, 19th, 20th. It's free, registration in the clerk's office by May 1st to be included in the newspaper publication. You can visit the clerk's office for a list of addresses featuring the garage sales. Please call our city clerk, Ellen Braggs, at 734-942-7540. Rain days, May 24th through May 27th. That concludes the chairperson's report.
Can I?
Yes.
Just two quick announcements on your report. Number one, there's going to be there's two fundraisers coming up for the Romulus Animal Shelter, and the first one is April the 14th. It's the Romulus Police present Pucks for Pets, and they're playing at the Taylor Ice Rink and Telegraph against the Detroit alumni hockey team, who is probably better than the regular hockey team now that we have. And I want to thank the PD for getting involved in that. And of course, on the 11th of May, there's going to be it'll be the 14th Romulus Bowl-a-thon Animal Shelter held at the Romulus Lanes. It's up $25. And as of today, there's a sign-up sheet over there at the bowling alley. And it's the 14th one. And of course, I want to thank Romulus Lanes, because they don't take 10 cents for this event. Everything that we raise there is put into the shelter fund. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. That concludes the chairperson's report.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to accept your report.
Support.
In motion by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Tally, to accept the chairperson's report. Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Ms. Tally,
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth,
Yes.
Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Webb.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion approved, and thank you.
Number 5 is the mayor's report.
Good evening, City Council, Treasurer, Clerk, Deputy Clerk, and audience. Tonight, the quote I brought kind of ties in Jan's Medal of Honor and military. This is a quote from General George Marshall, and it goes as this: "Military power wins battles, but spiritual power wins wars." I thought that was an awesome one, so keep that in mind. We do have a short video clip with a few events coming up. We could run that and get into my report.
Good evening. Here are some events coming up. Romulus Library will kick off their March is Reading Month program with Rufus the Doofus this Tuesday at 6 p.m. Family Movie Night at the library is on Wednesday at 6 p.m. On Sunday, March the 18th, the RAC will host its 10th anniversary birthday bash from noon until 6 p.m. The Romulus Recreation Department is organizing adult softball league starting in the middle of May. There will be 3 nights of league play, men on Wednesday evening, women on Thursday, and co-ed on Friday. Managers meeting will be held on Thursday, March the 15th at 5 p.m. Call the Recreation Department at 941-8665. The Greater Romulus Chamber of Commerce holds its annual comedy night and auction on Friday, March the 23rd. Auction items and baskets are needed. Easter is approaching, and the Rec Department will host its annual Easter egg hunt on Saturday, March the 24th, behind the Senior Center starting at noon. Also, there'll be brunch with the bunny on the same day at 10:30 a.m. Cost is $12 per person. Romulus Police presents Pucks for Pets as they take on the Detroit Red Wings alumni on April the 14th at the Taylor Sportsplex. Tickets are available at the Romulus Police Department, and they're $10 in advance or $15 at the door. Proceeds go to the Romulus Animal Shelter. To find out more about all of our community events, go to the locations noted on your screen. Thank you and have a nice evening.
Thank you, Roger. One last note, I just wanted to thank Julie Waitoko, Chief of Staff, and my team for filling in my absence on the 26th. Great job, much appreciated. Now on to my action items from under my report. First item up is item A, and what you have before you is requests that came through Lynn Conway, Purchasing Director, and Kathy Ritter, Assistant DPW Director. And this is a request to concur with administration and extend bid ITB 16/17-30, and that's to Matt Lee Lawn Service for the terms of the contract for the 2018 lawn mowing season, and those funds have been verified and budgeted out of the General Fund Cemetery Contractual Services account.
So moved, Mr. Chairman, for the extension of bid 1617-30, the cemetery downtown grass cutting season of 2018.
Support, comment.
Been motion by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Abdo, and this is for the extension of ITB 16/17-30, cemetery and downtown alley grass cutting 2018 season. Discussion.
Through the mayor, through the chair. I just want to say I'm glad that we were able to keep this in-house, and by that I mean that we were able to hire a Romulus resident. The Romulus business, support our businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wadsworth,
Yes.
Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Talley,
Yes.
Ms. Webb.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, Council. Next item up is a request that came through Lynn Conway, Purchasing Director, and Darren Shelby, Police Captain. And this is to concur with the administration, award ITB bid 17/18-16 to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Jack Demmer Ford, for the acquisition of one 2018 full-size 4x4 pickup and one 2018 SUV. That's for the City of Romulus Police Department. Total amounts $59,443. Funds have been verified and budgeted and are coming out of the Federal Law Enforcement Capital Outlay Expense Account.
Through the chair, if I may,
Yes, Ms. Webb.
I'd like to make that motion to concur with the administration and award ITB 17/18-16 to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, to Jack Demmer Ford, for the City of Romulus Police Department in the amount of $59,433, and that is a replacement vehicles.
I support that.
Been motion by Ms. Webb, supported by Ms. Talley, for bid ITB 17/18-16, this 2018 4x4 pickup truck and the 2018 SUV, Romulus Police Department, for a total of $59,443. Ms. Webb,
Yes.
Ms. Talley,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth,
Yes.
Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, Council. Next item up is a request that came through the recommendation of Lynn Conway, Purchasing Director, Roberto Scapitici, DPW Director, and our city engineers. And this is to concur with the administration and award ITB bid 17/18-22 to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Fontana Construction, for water main improvement in the amount of $505,455, along with a 10% contingency in the amount of $50,000 in $545.50 for unseen work needed to complete the project. These funds have been verified and budgeted, are available in the Water and Sewer Fund and Engineering Fees Construction Progress Expense Account.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion for ITB 17/18-22 for the Olive Street water main improvements.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Webb. And it's for the ITB 17/18-22 for the Olive Street water main improvements.
Mr.
Any
Barton,
discussion? Mr. Wood?
I have a question, and if I could go through with the mayor or Roberto, exactly what are we getting for the 500 and some thousand?
Good evening, council. We're getting a brand-new water main on Olive Street from Bibbins down to Grant, and we're also getting a section of new water main on Bibbins from Olive to about Shook.
Okay, and,
Yep.
I mean, this is one of the original lines in our town being replaced?
Yeah, the line out there is original. It's from 1940, and we've had a lot of issues, a lot of breaks on it. When we were out there recently last year on Bibbins, because we had an emergency piece that we replaced, we noticed that the rest of Bibbins was in really
apart, too.
right poor condition.
Okay, fine. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ms. Talley.
Just real quick, so what's the life expectancy? This is a replacement, you said?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what's the life expectancy? Because this one lasted since 1940.
Right.
So,
Well, the new pipe we're putting in there is plastic, and there's not a whole lot of information of the expiration date of plastic pipe. I mean, we can assume 100, 150 years. I mean, until research and development finds some other issue with plastic pipe, but right now, it's got a long longevity to it.
thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Ms. Talley.
Through the chair, if I may.
Yes, Ms. Webb?
On your presentation the other week, and I thank you for that because I learned a lot. I didn't realize there were so many water main breaks on Olive. I did notice there was construction for a very long time, but not until you did the infrastructure project presentation, so I thank you for that.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I'm sorry, one more quick one. And so what's the estimate? How long would it take for that to be completed? Just,
Roughly about 3 months.
Okay.
We have this projected to wrap up by August. There is an event at the park area there behind the senior center, so we want it wrapped up by August.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Roberto. Any other questions?
Thanks, Roberto.
Okay, Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Ms. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Talley,
Yes.
Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. Next item is request. A recommendation came to Lynn Conway, Purchasing Director, and Kevin Kraus, our Fire Service and Emergency Management Director. And this is to concur with the administration and authorize the purchase of 2 zoll heart monitors through Beaumont Grant for the Romulus Fire Department. The amount $61,591.03.
Through the chair, if I may.
Yes, Ms. Webb.
I'd like to make that motion with discussion to authorize 2 heart monitors through the grant award for the Romulus Fire Department.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Webb, supported by Ms. Roscoe for authorization to purchase 2 heart monitors through the grant awards from the Romulus Fire Department. Ms. Webb, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Kraus, our firefighter, because I had so many questions, and I have to thank you for answering those questions for me before the meeting this evening. And I'm sorry I couldn't get with you today, but I appreciate your answers.
John?
Yes, Mr. Wadsworth?
If I could, the chief over there, this is a defibrillator also to start your heart, plus a monitor? Am I correct in saying?
Yeah, so this is taken currently, like we have in the, most city buildings, we have the AED.
But those don't cost that much.
No,
The
those don't.
monitor
Those are lower end, civilian use type machine. This would be for paramedics. It allows us to do a number of different things. A 12-lead EKG that you would get in the emergency room when you're first admitted. It allows us to do that in the home at bedside. It allows us to pace a patient's heart. If their heart rate slows down too much, we'd be able to pace it and increase the rate. And if the heart's going too fast, we can shock it and slow it back down as well.
And if they stop, it'll allow you to
Defibrillate as well, yes.
defibrillate and start
Yep.
over again. Okay, fine.
Yep, completely compatible with the AEDs that we have here, that we've worked with and have adapters at the schools and most of the other businesses that we make recommendations to so we can utilize the same equipment.
Is this a portable unit that you carry, or is it built right into a rescue?
It's portable, goes right into the patient's house, right to their bedside. Yep, monitors a lot of other things,
Very good.
blood pressure, PO2, and Untitled capnography, a lot of new technology that's portable.
Fine, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Ms. Williams?
Yes, and I would like to also add that to the fire chief, Kevin. Thank you so much. We're giving something to the residents that they deserve. To help assist in saving a life is a wonderful thing. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, City Council. Next up is a request that came through Kevin Lozen, HR Director, and Stephen Hitchcock, our Legal Counsel, and this is to concur with administration and Legal Counsel and adopt the updated Employee Policy and Procedure Manual, Policy Number 34, effective March 5th, 2018.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion to concur with the administration and legal counsel and adopt the update to the Employee Policy and Procedure Manual, Policy Number 34, effective March 5th, 2018.
Support.
Been motioned by Ms. Talley, supported by Mr. Wadsworth, to concur with administration and legal counsel and adopt an updated to the Employee Policy and Procedure Manual, Policy Number 34, which is effective March 5th, 2018. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Webb? Ms. Webb?
Yes, with discussion.
Okay.
I wasn't able to get with our city attorney in regards to this, but after further studying it and being familiar with policy number 34, at least it does state at the very bottom that this policy does not apply to restrict the disclosure of information outside the context of litigation involving the city, or to otherwise prohibit to impede speech by employees as citizens regarding matters of public concern. I just wanted that out so people would know that it's not gag ordering or where anyone can say anything because this is placed here. So, yes.
Correct. This only applies when they're pending lawsuit, and it only applies to information related to that lawsuit. It doesn't cover any other conversations that anyone else wants to have in the employee.
Thank you.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, Council. Next up is a request that came through Tim Keys, Economic Development Director and Legal Counsel, and this is to concur with the administration, authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into the attached contract modification number 2 for Vining and ecourse road construction project for Dan's Excavating. The amount is $77,067.94, and these funds have been verified and available on the ecourse Vining Road construction project expense line item.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion for the ecourse and Vining Roads construction contract modification number 2.
I support that.
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Talley, for the ecourse and Vining Roads construction contract modification number 2. Any discussion? Yes.
Through the chair, this is a large amount of money, and this is the second modification that we've had. Can you elaborate on it, please?
Sure. Contract modification number 1 didn't come to you because it was actually no change in cost. It was just a little change in scope. Contract mod number 2, this is actually, if you look at the paperwork, there's a deletion of effort of $34,000 and an increase of $11,000, I think, for a total of $77,000. And I mean, it's a $12.5 million project. We have $1 million in contingency. We expect when you're pushing dirt on a new road like this, or actually existing roads, you just don't know what you're going to run into.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ms. Talley.
And I want to thank you, Mr. Keys, because we talked extensively about this, and I just want to thank you because I'm a novice, so you really brought a lot of information to me about the construction process, so thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Right. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, Council. Next item is requests that came as recommendation from Robert McCrate, Director of Public Services and Legal Counsel. Request to concur with the administration and approve the attachment of the previously approved contract for a project in design and development, the new 34th District Court building between Partners and Architect in the city of Romulus.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion for the amendment to the contract for the project and design of the 34th District Court.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Talley for an amendment to contract for the project design of the 34th District Court. Any discussion?
Yes. I had an issue with this particular line item. There, Mr. McCray corrected it. But as you know, I was not a council person at the time, and I don't know what the former council voted on. And so I asked to receive a copy of the contract that was voted on that is being amended. And by council meeting, I haven't received it. So I'm not gonna support this because I don't have the full information to support this particular document. I understand Mr. McCray corrected the 14 million to 17 million, but I'm not for sure if everything in that document is correct. So I can't support it.
John?
Yes, Mr. Wadsworth?
If I could, then, Mr. McCray, why did it go from 14 to 17, and did they still claim it?
The reason it was modified from 14 to 17 was to be in line with the MOU that was approved by council in August of 17. The MOU that was signed between the 34th District Court and the City of Romulus approved the $17 million for the construction of the new building. This contract that we're already into with PIA showed the old numbers of 14, and there was also some changes on page 20 to move them forward in the process. The first part of the contract was just for schematic design. Now we've moved them forward with design for build and for construction.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Ms. Williams, you have no...
Mr. McCray?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I was under the impression the original contract was 11 million. So when did the 14 million come into play?
Those numbers were talked about before I was involved with the project.
I believe the 11 million was to redo the old building.
Renovation,
Yes,
correct, that was
renovation.
renovation.
That was
And-
renovation.
That was gonna be 14 just to redo that building, when they came back with the price, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, when we went through the steps of the renovation initially, and that's where the 11 came from. As we did our due diligence, it wasn't worth the renovation, so we came back with a revised, and that's where the 14 came from. And as Bob said, he's making that correction, and the main thing with this document is it's now a build and design and construction, where before they were just working on design concepts.
Mr. McCray, through the chair.
Yes, Ms.
That still
Abdo.
doesn't answer for me where the jump from 14 to 17 million went.
Well, like the mayor said, the 14 million was talked about with the new construction and also the addition on the old building, and then the number came to the 14 million. When I got involved with the project in July, they did the budget and the run-through with AUK, our general contractor, and all the numbers came up to 17 million. That's when we brought it back to council for the MOU with the new amount, and that was approved in August. We just had to do some house cleaning on this contract to make sure that that was, the language in here matched the MOU that was approved.
Yeah, the MOU was clearly 17 when they presented, once it came back, and this company had done their design work. So it should have had 17 as a design contract build coming back to you.
Could you explain to the public what you mean by MOU?
It's the MOU is the letter of understanding. It's-
Memorandum of
Okay,
Understanding.
Memorandum of Agreement, okay, right.
Yep, it's the
right.
agreement between the 34th District Court and the City of Romulus to build the court building, the new court building, for the cost of $17 million.
It's a legal agreement that we have between us and the court.
Okay. Any other discussion? Other discussion, okay. Roll call vote. Thank you, Bob. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes,
Ms. Williams?
No.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. Next item up is item H. It's a budget amendment introduction, and this is to concur the administration introduce budget amendment 17/18-24. And this is the correct revenue line item to reflect the actual contributions received and county contributions for ecourse road only. Additionally, to accurately budget and anticipate project costs to bid out in line with the actual bond proceeds received.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make that motion to concur with administration and introduce budget amendment 17/18-24 to correct revenue line item to reflect actual contributions received, county contribution for ecourse only. Additionally, to accurately budget for anticipated project costs as bid out and in line with actual bond proceeds received.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Talley, supported by Ms. Abdo, for introduction of Budget Amendment 17/18-24 for the ecourse and Vining Road construction. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. Next item is item I, and this is a recommendation that came through our city treasurer, Stacy Page, and it's to concur with the administration and introduce budget amendment 17/18-25 to increase the anticipated investment earnings with funds transferred to PFM and account for the service charges that will still be owed at Comerica. This has no impact to the general fund balance.
And through the chair, if I may,
Yes, Ms. Webb.
I'd like to make that motion to concur with administration and introduce budget amendment 17/18-25.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Webb, supported by Ms. Roscoe for introduction of Budget Amendment 17/18-25 for general fund. Any discussion? Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. Next is also a budget amendment, and it's to concur with the administration, introduce budget amendment 17/18-26 to acknowledge the Beaumont Foundation grant awarded to Romulus Fire Department for the ALS heart monitors. This has no impact on general fund balance.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion for introduction of budget amendment 17/18-26, general fund.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Webb, introduction of Budget Amendment 17/18-26 from general fund. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. Last item is a recommendation that came through Josh Money, police captain and legal counsel, and this is to concur with administration, authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into the attached agreement with Western Wayne County Consortium for the mutual aid police services. No fees are charged to participating jurisdictions for the use of mutual aid.
So move for the Western Wayne Mutual Aid Agreement.
Support.
Been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Talley for the Western Wayne Mutual Aid Agreement. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor.
6A is the clerk's report. And before I begin the action items, I just want to make a small announcement, kind of piggyback off of Mrs. Lemon. The rules and things that she quoted, they are effective March 1st. So to the audience out there and those that are watching, if you have items that are not in compliance with the rules and regulations, you need to get them out. And as she mentioned, when they start doing the cleanup, because they're gonna go in and start cleaning up the cemetery and getting rid of all the, the debris and things that were from the holidays. So if there's some items out there, you need to go and get those, pick up those items. And also effective March 1st, that the hours of operation has changed. So the cemetery will be open from 8 a.m. and will close at 8 p.m. So just kind of want to throw that in there. And if you have questions, just give the clerk's office a call. Also, the rules and regulations are available on our city's website.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I will begin the action items under the clerk's report. 6A1 for second reading and final adoption is Budget Amendment 17/18-22 Motor Vehicle Fund. This budget amendment was introduced at the council meeting of February 26, 2018.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion for second reading, final adoption of budget amendment 17/18-22 for the motor vehicle fund.
Support.
Been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Webb, for second reading, final adoption of a budget amendment 17/18-22 motor vehicle fund. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Abstain.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Tally?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Agenda item 6A2 for second reading and final adoption is Budget Amendment 1718-23, garbage and rubbish removal. This budget amendment was introduced at the council meeting of February 26, 2018.
So move for second reading, final adoption of budget amendment 17/18-23, garbage and rubbish removal.
Support.
Been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Abdo, for second reading, final adoption of a budget amendment 17/18-23, garbage and rubbish removal. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Abstain.
Ms. Tally?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
And the last action item under my report, 6A3, this is a request to schedule 2 open meeting study sessions and 1 public hearing, all regarding the fiscal year 2018-19 city budget. For the study sessions, the first one would be for Monday, April 9th, 2018 at 6 o'clock p.m. The second study session would be Monday, April 23rd, 2018 at 6 o'clock p.m. And the public hearing would be Monday, May 7th, 2018 at 6:30 p.m. And again, this is all regarding the fiscal year 2018-19 budget.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion for request to schedule 2 open meeting study sessions and 1 public hearing, all regarding the 2018/19 city budget.
Support with discussion.
Been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Abdo, for request to schedule 2 open meetings, study sessions, and 1 public hearing, all regarding fiscal year 2018-19 city budget. Discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, through the chair. I just wanted to make sure that we were going to televise the public hearings. We discussed that earlier in the year. Are we, Mayor?
Yeah, public hearing, yes, study session, no.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Yes, Ms.
To
Webb?
the chair, I'd like to ask our finance director, Suzanne, is the 9th set in stone? Pardon me?
Actually, it really is, because we have to have the budget to city council by April 1st and to have a study session on April 2nd, I think was the message that you had left me today as far as
Yes, that's
changing the
what-
date. Yeah.
yes.
It's impossible for us to be ready to have the budget out April 1st and for council to have enough time with a study session to have April 2nd. So we wanted the 9th and the 23rd because we have the court and the library scheduled for the 23rd already to come. So we've already scheduled this with department heads and with the court and everybody else to come on the 9th and the 23rd.
Okay, because I know the charter does state that it should be the 1st.
No, the budget is due to council by April 1st.
It's due by
Not study
April the
session.
1st. Okay, so we couldn't get that, we couldn't have the study session before then. Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Tally?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you. Other than some communication from Comcast, that concludes the clerk's report. 6B is the treasurer's report.
Good evening, council, mayor, clerk, deputy clerk, and audience. I just have one item under my report. The real property tax was turned over to the county on March 1st. So it was kind of neat today. I got a phone call. Somebody wanted to know about paying their taxes that went to the county, and I was able to direct them over to the rack to use the DivDat. So they didn't have to drive down to the county. They didn't have to pay for parking. They were able to go over to the machine, retrieve the amount real time, get their receipt, and so that was pretty neat. So I just want to remind everybody, if you still have outstanding taxes that are due to the county, please check out the DivDat machine at the rack. It'll save you some time and some money with the parking. So, and of course, if you have any questions, please call the treasurer's office. Thank you.
Thank you.
6C is the attorney's report.
Good evening. On February 26th, you approved a contract with a company called Red Guard for the installation of fire alarm and suppression system improvements for this building and the library, subject to my approval of those contracts. I subsequently read those, tried to do some changes with the contractor, and the response was that they didn't want to change their form agreement. So there's two issues I'm bringing back to you tonight. One is that his bid is $100,000 over the line right now where you'd have to have bonds under our purchasing policy. That line is $30,000 when you're doing improvements to a public building. This contractor said, well, I didn't factor in any cost for a bond, and I don't want to get a bond. He doesn't want to do the job if he has to get a bond. So one of the resolutions for you to consider is a waiver of the bond requirement of the purchasing ordinance for this particular contract. The contract amount is now $31,431. If he'd been just under $30,000, he wouldn't have needed the bond. Second item is the contract language itself. There's a motion here for you to waive my recommended changes and to sign the contract as is by the Red Guard. Basically, what this contract says is that the contractor is not going to be responsible for any liability resulting from their work. Normally, we would have in a contract that whatever work you're going to perform, you're going to indemnify the city from any liability exposure it has as a result of their negligent work, which could be both property damage and it could be possibly personal injury also if someone was personally injured. In this case, because it's fire suppression equipment, it could be both fires in the building and or injuries to someone. I tried to change the contract to put that in there, and they have refused to do that with regards to their maintenance contract. To the installation, they're okay with our contract, but they're also entering into a maintenance agreement where they're going to maintain this equipment for us at a cost per month. They're not agreeing to have any responsibility for their failure with regards to the maintenance of the equipment. The easy answer might be that you'd say, well, why don't we just go to the next bidder then? The next bidder is over $50,000, so it's another $20-some thousand to go to the next bidder. So while this is unusual, for the big difference in the price between this bidder and the second bidder, I wanted to bring that to your attention. If you want to agree to the contract as they've written it, which, I mean, it doesn't create liability exposure for us that we're not covered for because we have our own insurance policy that covers us for any liability exposure we have. But we generally try to shift that responsibility to the contractor for their own work, because our rates for insurance are based upon experience. So the more claims you have, the higher your rate for the insurance coverage, the higher your premium. So generally we try to shift that and make sure that they have the coverage, insurance coverage, to back up their agreement to be responsible for damages caused by their own conduct. But in this case, we won't have that in the contract language if we go forward with this particular vendor. Now, the additional problem we have is the system's not working correctly right now, so we got exposure that there could be something happen where the system wouldn't work properly to notify of a fire, and if to go to a next contractor is going to delay that sometime in getting the the work done, most likely.
Mr. Barton,
Yes, Mr. Wadsworth.
if I could, the attorney, I mean, have we ever waived a bid bond before? I've been here a long time, but I don't recall ever.
Recall having done that. We certainly have the authority to do it. Under the state law, you don't have to have a bid bond for work performed on a public building until it exceeds $50,000. So we just happen to have in our purchasing ordinance a lower threshold, 30,000, than the state law requires us to have.
I guess my question would be, you told us 1, 2, 3 things that he doesn't want to do. Why do we want to do business with him? I guess I'd ask the mayor, we have a better plan?
Well, time and money basically would delay the process, and we pay a higher price to go to the second bidder, substantial. So, and I guess the system worked, because you approved this contingent upon him reviewing it. Once he reviewed it, he brought those up, so they were caught in the system, but it's just he prepared those 2 motions for the option to waive that and to continue to move forward with them. But those are the 2 basic reasons.
Has this company done work for us in the past?
Not that I'm aware of. Are you aware of them?
He's a regular contractor in the city with other businesses, and as far as alarm systems and suppression.
And you're comfortable with? I mean,
Yeah, he does decent work for the other businesses, and we don't have a lot of issues as he's going through the permitting process.
all right.
Through the chair.
Yes, Ms.
I don't feel
Abdo.
comfortable with this at all. I don't feel comfortable with supporting this, waiving his liability. You know, I don't agree with it. I know you're saying we're saving money, but sometimes you get what you pay for. And I really don't like the language of this at all. Sorry.
As well.
This is really a hard pill for me to swallow because I don't like the idea that that company is dictating to the city on what they want to do, not what we are supposed to do. Although you're saying it's only $1,000 difference, normally it's $30,000, et cetera. But yet and still, what about the other bidders? I mean, if we waive this, to me, it's gonna be like a snowball effect. That's where you waive bids, and now, you know, we're waiving this. Now, you already stated that we are covered because of our insurance. So why not take the time, since we're covered, and rebid it, or either take the next bidder, whether it's $20,000 more. No company should have to come in to our city and tell us to change what is right. And I just put it out there, I'm gonna vote no on it.
I have a quick question, Mr.
Yes.
Chair.
Yes, Mr. Taylor.
You said the system is kind of, at the library, at the city hall, is it kind of not working, or what's going on in those 2 buildings right now?
My understanding is that you can't totally rely upon it
Okay.
to give the warnings that you would want at the right times.
Do anybody know how long that's been going on?
I don't.
Okay. That's all I have, thanks.
Any other discussion?
I'll talk to the attorney. I've got the same feeling as my colleagues. I mean, they shouldn't be dictating what they're gonna do here. I mean, could we table this and go back to them and make a second offer, either lower at 1,400, or we're gonna put it out for bids, and maybe he'll have second thoughts? I don't know. I
mean, the waiving the bond part of it doesn't bother me personally as much as liability issue with regards to their work. Being willing to
mean,
stand behind the work.
if they come in here and mess everything up, then did they just pack up and go home?
So if we don't have the bond, the risk we run there is There's a performance bond, and it's a bond for the workers too. So, and I don't remember whether there's any subs on this job or not. But if he were to just do part of it and then walk away, you've got a performance bond, then you can look to the bonding company to finish the job, whatever the cost is. And it always costs more to finish a job once it's been started by somebody else than it does to do it all over again. So whatever he's bid here, if he were to just do part of it and then walk away, we could clearly anticipate that any replacement contractor would want more than the balance of his contract finished. It's, every time I've been involved in that, it's always what. So that's one of the reasons you have bid bond, performance bond, is that somebody to stand behind that contractor's price, make sure the work gets done for that price. He goes out and buys a bond from a surety company that says, yes, he fails to perform, we'll complete the work, or we'll hire somebody to complete the work, no extra cost to the city.
But at this point, there's been no work started, has there?
No.
Okay. I'd put it back out for bids as much, we can't, people walking in the door and tell us what they're gonna do, and, pending, we've got rules, and, or table it and go back to him and, see if he's still interested. What do you wanna do?
I mean, if you're not inclined to approve these two changes, I don't think you ought to take any action, because your last resolution said it was contingent upon me reviewing and approving it, and I don't approve it as it is right now.
Fine, leave it go, move on.
Any other discussion? So,
We
no action.
don't take any action on it, that's all.
No action.
No motion.
Back in your court.
Seven is public comment. Individuals who would like to address City Council must raise their hand, and when recognized by the chair, approach the podium and state their name and address. Remarks shall be limited to 3 minutes, subject to being extended an additional 3 minutes by consent of the chair. There shall be no personal attacks, and remarks shall not contain any profanity, racial, ethnic, sexual, or national origin slurs or overtones. Anyone not adhering to this rule shall lose their right to address City Council. A response to any question and/or concerns will be provided under agenda item number 8, unfinished business, only if the information is available. Otherwise, responses that require further investigation will be given at a later date. We do not have any written requests.
Okay. Any comments from the audience? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Wesley Stevens. I live at 6535 Gloria Street. First, I wanted to say thank you to the city, because about a year ago, I made a complaint about Niagara. And after driving on these roads that we're driving on now, I'm happy to say when I turn in my neighborhood, I am not going over lots of potholes. So wanted to thank the city for acting diligently on that. Also, I had a question. I live where my back faces Merriman, and there's an empty field there on the corner of Merriman and Beverly. And behind my house is and behind my fence is a big mess. It's lots of trees and things like that. And so I've took it upon myself to clear some of it and keep it clear, but there's a large tree there that a vine is growing, and it grows crazily crazily, if that's a word, during the summertime, and it fills up my fence and everything, so I can't see things like coyotes that walk through and things like that we have actually seen. And I'm just wondering, is there something that the city can do to help me cut down that tree? I just got a quote $350 to cut down one of the trees that's back there. And so I was wondering if it's something that the city can do to help me to get rid of that tree. I have a small dog, and my wife really doesn't want any animals to mess with her dog.
Somebody can address that on the unfinished business.
Well, the only problem is, I don't want you to get in trouble and go on someone's property and cut down a tree that's not yours.
Well,
Or is this tree on your property?
well, it's that's what I'm not sure. I've talked to the city in the last few years, and they were saying that 6 feet behind my fence, or 6 feet or something like that behind my fence, is
Right
my
away.
responsibility or something like that. So I don't know.
You, Bob?
I figured I'd ask. Only thing you can tell me is no. That's fine. So.
We'll get somebody to answer that on unfinished business.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other public comments? No other public comments? We'll close that part out.
Number 8 is unfinished business.
Mr. Chairman, Bob's getting that information from him. We'll check out where it is and what can be done.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Number 9 is new business. Number 10, communication.
Mr. Barber? Go ahead.
I get to go.
Ms. Abdo?
Thank you. On behalf of the Romulus High School National Honor Society, I want to thank those people that came out and supported our Chad Tough fundraiser this Sunday. I want to thank my colleagues, Mr. Wadsworth, Ms. Roscoe, and Ms. Talley, for coming out and helping support and donating, and specifically Mayor Burkroff for donating pizzas. We had a successful fundraiser. Thank you.
Mr. Wadsworth? and Ms.
Just a quick comment. I mentioned tonight that the Romulus Animal Shelter Bowl-a-thon will take place on May the 11th, but I forgot to mention that Mayor Burkroff again is paying for all the pizza, and the cats and dogs appreciate it.
Okay. Ms. Roscoe?
Well, if you haven't gotten your Girl Scout cookies yet, you're still in luck. Girl Scout Troop 7155 here in Romulus is having a drive-through cookie sale this Sunday on March 11th at Blue Sky, which is at the corner of Hirner Drive and Eureka. Between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., you can pull up in your car. You don't even have to get out. You can get your cookies and away you go. But again, that is this Sunday from 10 to 4 at Blue Sky.
Ms. Braggs?
Yep. Earlier, Miss Lemon, I know this is your night, Miss Lemon, she had wished Barb happy birthday, but we want to wish Miss Lemon happy birthday. Their birthdays are both on the same day, March 4th. So happy birthday, Mrs. Lemon. And Barb, happy birthday. All right. Mr. Chair, if there's no more communication, number 11, oh,
Ms.
one more?
Abdo
I'm
has
sorry.
something
Yes,
else.
earlier, Mr. Davison spoke about the birthday bash at the RAC on March 18th. One of the things I was asked to mention is that there are great deals if you're renewing your membership. So this would be a time, even if you're not due, you can renew your membership at that time, and I believe they're adding 10 weeks on, so you're getting 10 weeks free. So come out on the 18th.
Okay.
All right, if there's nothing else, number 11 is adjournment.
So moved.
Support.
It's been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Roscoe for adjournment. Mr. Wadsworth? Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, we are adjourned. Thank you.